the fact that it almost turned into a sexual pathology, like a pathological obsession. Like this weird sexual pathology associated with this. Did this guy used to like commission and react to lolly porn? I don't know. I don't know anything about this guy. All I know is I went on a podcast that Mudahar and this guy was on, not knowing a single damn thing about this dude's worldview, for the record. That was many, many years ago. And apparently since then, he's become a massive Israel lover and also simultaneously a massive hater. Yeah, it's a psychosexual obsession.
It's worth noting that he and his contemporaries rarely, if ever, actually back up their claims. Just look at this description box. No sources, just a polemic descriptor about how Democrats are cooked, Doge Lord Elon Musk, and what seems to be a bunch more SEO ranking terms. And then he has the gall to claim that his video is for educational purposes. Maybe I'm just being a dick, but is it really too much to ask that when we make definitive statements about contentious political or economic issues, we substantiate those claims somehow? Especially if we're going to make quote-unquote educational videos. Anyway, back to Mudahar. In his video, he calls out a pro-Palestinian creator by the name of Frogan, who said this about American soldiers.
I have no pity at all for any soldiers. The U.S. military, boo you. I hope you get PTSD. The U.S. military that are like, yeah, like, you know, I did this back then, but now I know it's wrong. Like, I'm changed. Like, imperialism, this. You don't deserve the PTSD. But like any other joining them, you're like, oh my God, I want my Camaro, no student loans.
Is what she said crude and callous? Yeah, sure. I would never co-sign the wishing of mental health issues onto anyone, but let's examine where a statement like hers comes from. Frogan is a creator of Lebanese descent whose family fled the Israeli-Lebanese war. Is it really that hard to understand why a person of not only Lebanese descent, but of Middle Eastern, Latin American, African, or Asian descent might...
It wasn't crude. I mean, it was. Come on. Come on, Chad. Like, it is. That's a part of, that plays a role in why people hate Frogan. This isn't victim blaming, for the record. But that, like, a lot of these people would hate her just on her output in general, even if she was, even if she never actually got crude, right? Even if she never actually was rude sometimes, or brash, or bold. They would hate her because she is an outspoken hijabi woman in the United States of America. Okay? But that factors in, like, that, all of those things combined create this like insane situation where she breaks the minds of people and they become insanely obsessed with every little thing that she does while simultaneously talking about how little motion she has. It is so weird, dude. It is so weird where they're like, you have this many people watching you at any given moment. What happened? Like, your career sucks. And it's like, okay, then why are you watching? Like, how do you justify your rabid obsession with a person that you yourself are saying doesn't have this kind of clout, doesn't have this kind of emotion? Like, why are you constantly looking at every little thing that she does? And it's not like these guys are personally going into her chat. They're just responding to whatever the Keemstar orbiters are, the Keemstar orbiters are bringing up in general. Oh, it sucks. See, look, this guy is still here. Lack of empathy. She's a rising star for sure. Same guy, by the way, the guy who said like October 7 was a genocide. All wars a genocide. Seemingly, some wars are more genocide than others. Weirdly enough, that's his attitude. I love this like cowardly ass, I just hate all war approach that people have to Palestinians being ruthlessly slaughtered, mostly children, every single day in this live streamed Holocaust that Israel is engaging in. Live streamed child Holocaust that Israel is engaging in. And this chat is like, hold on now. Hold on, guys. How about no sides, you know? It's weird. It seems like you do choose a lot of sides, huh? I like Frogan. Man, shut the up.
Feel a hatred for the imperial, murderous U.S. military that has infected their politics, bombed their countries, or outright occupied them for decades? Mudahar seems to think so. He had this to say about Frogan's take.
Oh, how out of touch do you gotta be? How privileged do you gotta be to sit there on your ass in California and just badmouth the people that take a bullet for your freedoms
I love
every
this.
single day.
This was another one of my favorite takes from Mudahar's video. Mudahar's Canadian, by the way. Yeah. The military is here for our freedoms, baby. That's right. That's right. How dare you speak ill against the military? Who's here to defend our free speech? Yeah. Hey guys, hold on. BRB, gonna go shoot a 14-year-old in Kandahar so that I can defend American free speech. Hold on one moment, okay? Let me go deploy, get my dick blown off in the process of defending a poppy field, okay, by a dude who's only known people like me invading his land, who doesn't know what the 9/11 is, okay? And he's just like, okay, well, these guys are invading, they're killing people, I'm gonna kill them, you know? Let me go take a bullet. And then when I come back, I can say, oh, I defended your free speech. Yeah, dude, the goat herder in Afghanistan was actually going to undermine American free speech. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God for our boys, baby. Woo, hell yeah. Village elders thinking American troops were Soviets. Yeah, exactly. It's so, I still remember was it a onboarded journalist that brought like photos of America and 9/11 and like went and asked the random Afghan people like what that was, and they're like, I don't know. I have no idea what this is. What are you showing me? Yeah. Hey, by the way, this is why we're killing your family members, just so you know. This is why we're killing your family members. And they're like, what? What the is this? Geez, DPRK take on Twitter? No, I don't care about what this man has to say about geopolitical issues or foreign countries or even Canadian politics to begin with. I care about what he has to
Team
say
deathmatch. Engagement windows open. Go, go, go!
Okay. I care about what he has to say when it comes down to like finding a fascinating subreddit about some weird quirk. That's it. That is the beginning and end of my interest when it comes to something that Buddha has to say. Those are the subjects that he is somewhat knowledgeable on. That's what I would stick to if I were to consume.
Kelly, mine!
For political.
Knock it off, genius!
What the does he know? You come to me for music takes? No. When I make music takes, no. You yell at me.
It's the most outrageous shit you'll ever hear.
Just for reference.
Actually, the U.S. elites is the same as blaming poor people for buying Star
See ya!
American military members are victims. It's ridiculous to act like military members deserve this. The irony factors in military members who
Guess who's back, asshole?
talking about that. That's an entirely different story. But get the out of here, dude. If you're like, oh yeah, defending what you did by running around. To protect your free speech by, you know, killing a bunch of
Identified enemy blast trap.
out of here.
Hostile shock spotted.
Also, the irony is, this guy probably does not know that he is surrounded by not only active duty service members, but also military veterans in general. That's just how it is in America. It's a massive jobs program. I just wish the
Cooler off the trigger.
program and there are plenty of veterans who do get it, as a matter of fact, where they go, man, sure seems like this was for nothing. And by nothing, I mean nothing for me. Only death and destruction.
Spotted enemy stun. PID, they're mine.
Always, I'm in the military now, Air Force. Yeah, well, you're surrounded by other people who are also in the military. It's a jobs program. Get out when you can, you know? Before you are forced to do some shit you don't want to do, and then live with that life.
Of Asmongold saying that he doesn't care if Palestinians get genocided because he believes they have an inferior culture.
I just want to preface, Zach Asmongold has pretty much walked through this thing.
Enemy sighted.
If they were were to extend the charitability, you could say that Asmongold was probably referring to extremists in the Islamic religion, and their view on people in the LGBT community.
And let's take another look at how he responded to Frogan.
You gotta be, how privileged do you gotta be to sit there on your ass in California and just...
This is all in the same video, by the way. Where did all the charitability and nuance go? Instead, he goes on a diatribe about how the American military...
And who they are deeply...
It's a bullet every single day. I'm sorry, Mudahar, but A, you're Canadian, and I can say it like that because I am too. B, are you aware of what the U.S. military has done to the Middle East? And C, since you want to I challenge you to name World War II when the American military fought to protect the American civil freedoms of its people.
Excuse me. One might say every war, actually, because you know, weapons manufacturers like bandits. Just saying. They did make a lot of profits. Okay. Best defense is a good offense, but I got that Mudahar clip mocking Finkelstein in the chamber. If you want to see it again, oh my God, can you send it to me again? Oh, this is a funny one where it just basically shows the level of knowledge that he has.
Hostile down.
Is he bad? Yeah, I'll lay you in. Hold on. Oh my God, I can hear myself on her phone watching the stream. I know. After this video is done, Maya's gonna be on the stream. Hold
West
on.
military intervention fought for her freedoms. Now there is a poverty draft and how the U.S. military preys on underprivileged people and communities and recruits them to sell their bodies into an imperial force. Yes, absolutely. But when that imperial force goes on to live entire regions of the world, you shouldn't be surprised when a person who is a descendant of one of those regions also went on
Blast trap set.
After some backlash, this complete comes out and goes, two people harm isn't the best way to talk about it.
Charge identified.
They're not getting up.
Palestinians across the board have an inferior culture that deserves to be genocided versus how much smoke he... Oh my God. What a loyal company man he is. Holy moly. It is so telling. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why, okay? Because of cultivated and that you want to continue cultivating. That's what it is. It is so obvious. It is so obvious that he's just like, oh, please, guys, look, see, I'm on all the enemies and I am all the good guys. This is what I was talking about, by the way, when I brought it because of the
Identified enemy mine.
He's not as bad as like that one dude on Fox News for sure, right? But this is
MTC's nearly dry. Get serious, Crimson.
Really? Wow! And these people are supposed to be the intellectual bastions on the internet.
Again, let's contrast this with the way he accepted Asmongold's apology.
In this situation, one could argue if they were to extend the charitability, could say that Asmongold was probably referring to extremists in the Islamic religion, and their view on people in the LGBT.
I'm not people with genocide that's baked into their laws are the terrible people. It is an inferior.
KIA.
Let's get this straight. Asmongold denounces the entire culture as inferior and explains how he doesn't care if they get killed and has it in his heart to be charitable, which is fine. That's his prerogative. But when someone from Lebanese descent says something mean about an army known for bombing and occupying the Middle East, Mudahar's charitability is all dried up. That checks out.
Rest and recuperate. Tomorrow you'll be running drills until you drop.
Palestine, or is it just to score cheap shots at creators who are against the genocide Israel is currently committing. This is not to say that you can't criticize
Kill.
the Palestinian plight. You absolutely your coverage on issues adjacent to the Palestinian conflict. Muslims and Jews just don't get along, man. It is fair for me to call your priorities into question. Now let's move on to the main event. Ethan Klein. This video is not meant to debunk every inaccurate Zionist talking point Ethan has pushed over the past 18 months. Instead,
Indians? What are you talking about? He's Muslim. He's a Muslim Indian. He's presenting his position. He's presenting his position that way, but he's bro. Is a better Muslim than I ever could be. Okay. This man has done one of the most important things you can do as a Muslim. He has gone on Hajj. He literally went to Mecca. Okay? No, he is not. Okay. Sure, guys.
it's meant to illustrate how his role as a drama slop creator lets him use serious political issues as proxies for personal beefs, avoid doing any rigorous research, and spew Western-centric nonsense to an audience of normies. If you want a detailed rebuttal of all his claims, there are many great YouTubers who have already done so. Creators like Chris Kunzler, Disinformation Tracker, and more. YouTuber Noah Samson did a really great job of using Ethan's content nuke slop video as a launching point to refute Ethan's
Oh, here, this was the best.
Is everyone you bring on a troll?
No, usually I verify people, but I was like, because it's really big.
Norman Jinkelstein a troll?
That I don't know. I'm not too sure about that.
Bro, what was that debate even like, dude? I saw like a bit in piece on Twitter about it. Apparently they were like, yo, Destiny got owned. And every clip that I watched, I'm like, the other, like, the guy who you were debating was just getting emotional the whole time. It's like, you're reading Wikipedia. It's like, bro.
Yeah, bro, he got emotional the whole time, dude. If emotional equals you lost. This is such a good video. This is such a funny little clip because you can see in his he's definitely better read than all of the people that he's surrounded himself with. These are my allies, dog. This sucks.
They have sources attached. He's not clicking on the source.
Well, and also I was never.
Nice. We're pulling ahead.
I was like quoting like the either Amnesty International.
Yeah, but I read real books, not websites. Dude.
Beginning of the clip first. Oh, Jesus. Oh, you're ultra triggered, dude.
lies and shed light.
Damn, that feels good.
Showing Donald Trump in his almost assassination moment on the side of that ugly Cybertruck. Donald Trump, for a brief moment, looks at that and goes, like, was it all? Best moment here.
Come on, losing this fight.
The ugliest machine.
We got the lead. Now hold it.
More Jews were displaced during the Nakba than Palestinians.
If the Jews didn't come from Europe. Massive amounts following the 1948 war. In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the
This specific claim is so absurd that I can't not include it in this video. It has been refuted, as I mentioned earlier, but I want to quote Avi. Zionists are driven by the propaganda and victims of endemic Arab
Good effect.
own racist treatment of the Palestinians. A rich, fascinating, and multi-dimensional history is thus reduced to a quest for ammunition in the ongoing war against
This shit ain't working. We've lost the advantage.
The forced exodus of 850,000 Jews from Arab countries after 1948 amounted to a catastrophe. At least on par with, if not more devastating in its consequences than the Palestinian Nakba. The double exodus.
You've fallen behind!
Create a false symmetry between the fate of two communities. This narrative is not history.
Lead
It's the
darn!
propaganda of the victors. Honest history has to acknowledge the part played by all the governments concerned in causing this man-made tragedy. Cleansed by the Israelis.
Clean shot. Hostile spot.
The 90 it's ridiculous.
Enemy.
Against a unarmed group of indigenous people that were forcibly sent away, never allowed back into said homes. It's like saying
Hostile shooter.
Tears was a ridiculous. There was no army for the Palestinians at the time.
Terror cells like the Hive and its offshoots like
We got moved.
Ethan's frame Jewish migration to Palestine. He took his words at face value.
In 1948, the Israel, Palestinian millions, and the rest of the Arab states. Oh my lord! Rose up in arms against the massacres that were being committed. Calling that a war is like saying there's a war. That's my point. It's like saying that the Holocaust was a war because, you know, there was resistance against it by Jewish groups like in the Warsaw Ghetto.
I come away from it's just a complicated mess of mutual displacement. But that kind of moral flatness on to Jews. What happened. Palestinians were ethnically cleansed. Jews to seek a new life in Palestine.
Yeah, oh, that's an even better example. Like, what the Turks are taught to say about Armenia, dude. Like, literally. One of you recognize okay? Armenians during time of war because it was out of necessity.
Lost the lead. Hostile UAV established overhead. Hostile RCXD in your AO.
Troops in contact.
This movement actively promoted Jewish methods. Some historians claim these include false flag operations to create pretexts for mass This entails staging attacks on Jewish targets in Arab countries and blaming them on local Arab communities.
Okay, the Turks in the chat are telling me that apparently they don't even. I didn't know that. In school, we were taught that it's like
Found you.
As part of a broader strategy to increase Israel's Jewish population.
Armed hostile.
Counterparts once they arrived in Israel, they were solely there to secure the viability of the demographic majority. A particularly troubling example of this was the mistreatment of Yemeni Jews. During and after Operation thousands of Yemeni Jews were executed under mysterious circumstances. Parents were told that their children had died from illness, but growing evidence suggests some were secretly given to wealthy, childless Israeli Jewish families. Others like
Target ID.
Some reports claim children were used as medical test subjects and died from experimental treatments. This has come to be known as the Yemenite children.
Nice. We're pulling ahead.
Target appears
Enemy care
hostile.
package above.
He overlooks all the unacceptable. No matter the reason for their arrival and no matter how the Israeli government worked to reshape its population. Over the past 18 months, many videos have resurfaced of Ethan Klein and his wife, Ela,
Foot mobile.
dehumanizing conversations.
Confirm.
Palestinian person as it at one point.
Enemy sentry turret detected in your AO. You've fallen behind.
Tally thermal grenade. Mine.
MTC's in the red. It's now or never.
From said interview, he found out about his opinions about Biden had actually taken them off the terrorist state-sponsored terrorists, which Trump put them back on, and Biden had actually escalated them back to taking place. Even though I still, once again, maintain the position, I'm not ashamed of this. To a member of the Ansar I just simply like there is no
Mediocrity's not my style. That's for extract. We'll
All,
talk
get us
about
out of
this
here.
later.
This is going nowhere.
This label, often used as a political tool to delegitimize groups
Tango down.
they are infinitely more susceptible to pushback. Especially because it would be, there's additional security that comes along with like being able to conduct an interview and then cut it and edit it. You know what I mean? That's it.
By Saudi Arabia and supported by the West. Israel's intentions Saudi-led coalition and is viewed as an outpost for Western hegemony in the Middle East. It is not exactly inconceivable why a 19-year-old from Yemen might be anti-Zionist, especially as the state of Israel is in the middle of committing a genocide. When this young man was asked by Hassan if he was anti-Semitic or simply in opposition to the ethno-religious supremacist idea that is Zionism, he confirmed the latter.
Ask him what he thinks about the fact that in America, some of the like leading groups that are pro-Palestine are led by Jewish people who are anti-Israel. How does he feel about that?
He's saying anyone that supports Palestine, we're with.
He's done so many times back when he was active on Twitter. I did not mean the Jews, but the Zionists. I respect every Muslim, Jew, who stands with the truth, and I will do everything I can to protect him. Ethan's arguments as to why this kid is a terrorist are silly. First, he says the kid is a Houthi.
This Houthi pirate, I mean, who are you kidding? This guy's a terrorist.
Even though we don't have concrete evidence to back that claim.
Every time I see a new clip from the Context Puke that I haven't seen because I've yet to watch it, and at this point I feel like I've already seen most of it by way of people bringing up new aspects of it, I'm shocked at how gross it is. It makes me think less of people that watched it and were duped by it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you have to be hopped up on an incredible amount of America attitude to just like see this video and go, yeah, that's right. He is a, let's be real, terrorist. Sick.
In fact, Rashid, the Yemeni guy, denies being a Houthi.
Actual pirate, a actual criminal.
Also, for those of you who don't know, Ansar Allah is the movement that leads Yemen right now. It's the de facto leadership of Yemen. Okay? The Houthis are a family. They're a tribe, specifically. So if he was a Houthi, his last name would most likely reflect that he is a Houthi. His last name would be Al-Houthi, not Al-Haddad. But that's besides the point. The Houthis are a Yemeni tribe that are Zaidi Shia.
Terrorists. Second, the teen has tweeted violent things about Zionism, but as we've already seen, the kid is clearly able to distinguish between Zionists and Jewish people, even acknowledging the many Jewish organizations that support the Palestinian cause.
He's saying anyone that supports Palestine, we're with.
And finally, Ethan's...
I was in the Epsteinian H3 circles while still watching your Hogwatch on YouTube, and the content nuke was so bad and sketchy, it pushed me more into your stream and away from them, Lamau. It's hot garbage. Yeah, but for every person like yourself, there's probably a bunch of people that were like, no, I believe this now.
Smoking gun is an Instagram comment where someone asks this young man if he's a soldier, and he replies, yes. I don't think this is enough to substantiate the accusations Ethan has levied against him. Let's really quickly contrast Ethan's feelings about this Yemeni teen with his praise of Sam Hyde, a guy who Ethan even admits is probably a neo-Nazi.
Sam is an extraordinarily funny guy. That inspired me a lot when I was coming up.
Yeah, but Sam is white. He's a Westerner. And if you're a Western chauvinist, all it takes, I mean, you can have a guy who says they're a neo-Nazi, promotes Adolf Hitler, has spent money on the legal fund of other prominent Nazis, is a pedophile, has had his followers directly harass you, possibly dox you and swat you. You're still under the banner of being a Westerner. So obviously it's like, haha, you're kind of funny, maybe possibly a Nazi, right? Whereas if you're a brown kid in Yemen, 19 years old, only known death and destruction in the poorest country on the planet that had a man-made blockade that caused a massive famine in your country, man-made blockade by coalition forces that we backed with weapons and targeting systems that we gave to Saudi Arabia and the UAE, by the way, okay, then, you know, all it takes is for me to assume that you're a terrorist because I saw you with the traditional Yemeni knife and also a weapon. Yemen, for those of you who don't know, has the second highest gun ownership per capita on the planet after, you might have guessed it, the United States of America. Having a gun in Yemen as a citizen does not automatically qualify you as a militant, unless you're Barack Obama, in which case not even having a gun qualifies you as a militant. But of course, here we are with Ethan Klein and his assessment.
But he's also like, he's just a little crazy. That's, you know, and also like extremely right wing. And potentially a Nazi as well.
I mean, I might be overthinking it, but Ethan seems to be strangely charitable when it comes to Sam Hyde, but none of that charitable...
Kill confirmed. All targets declared hostile. Happy hunting, Crimson.
Me, like not even Rashid Al-Haddad, but like even his co-host, like he knows I'm not. You know what I mean?
Claim the advantage, now hold it.
Like, I don't know, he might possibly be a Nazi. Who knows? Nuts.
I might, but Sam is...
Heads up! That's the river!
Like what's up?
Combatant taken out.
SATCOM, drop care package on my beacon. Requesting recon above.
What about Asman? Because he's juicy. I think he's also... I know people try to say that. He's more conservative, but I don't think he's...
Hey, finger off the trigger.
Trump coded. That's
no,
a good...
Trump killed it. That sounds pretty pro-Trump.
He said.
TACCOM, downlink HARP data feed.
Oh, kill.
Operating RCXD.
I think I would say he's Trump coded.
Trump's good at this. ...
I've watched his content. It's not.
War Machine,
Bailey
fire
pumping
for
War
effect.
Machine.
He's Trump coded though.
Assassinate me with an ice pick. Stalin. Hamasabi. Sanazi. And now.
Grenade launcher. Spring mine.
Yes, it does. His
Grenade inbound.
Get a UAV on grid.
It's about the Holocaust.
That's my point. My point is Georgians are Turkish.
Enemy kill.
Adler marking care package LZ.
6'4", I would be literally.
Span of a few months, Ethan has praised or done some form of apologia for both Sam Hyde and Asmongold. This seriously makes me.
Watchdog Helo mission.
I mean, I could take.
Hostile counter UAV established above.
Humunculus, okay? I'm basically like a digital Cuba, okay? Under constant blockade. Anyway, my point is, we all recognize how far right the internet has become, but in the commentary sphere especially, it's ridiculous. In the commentary space, it's like 90% centrist right-wing adjacent to far right versus 10% that's like actually leftist commentary. That's Lamau, you're more like China? Okay, fair. Actually, you know what? I will take that. I am more like China. Misunderstood and becoming a dominant superpower and doesn't have to do anything to get to that position at this point, aside from doing what I've been doing. Restrained, reasonable in the global stage. Much more.
Yeah, the contradictions of capitalism can't fix themselves.
Anti-Semitism. Ethan is too busy doing.
Communists just gotta sit back and let the success roll in.
Kind of funny.
Well, I don't know about that.
That's right. I do have a agnostic trade principle where I'm not trying to I'm not trying to actively engage in destabilizing and sometimes will have positive trade relations with everyone.
Apologia for them while solely targeting anti-Zionists. Ethan seems to think that just because the United States labels a group a terrorist organization, that settles the matter. The US, the UK, Israel, and other Western forces are responsible for...
What's your Belt and Road Initiative? You're literally watching it right now. If I'm China, you're watching my Belt and Road Initiative in the commentary sphere. If the commentary sphere is the global marketplace, you're currently experiencing my Belt and Road Initiative right now by pumping overzealots.
Some of the most horrific atrocities known to man. The number of innocent people the US and Israel kill for political reasons is astronomical, according to Ethan's own definition of terrorism.
What is terrorism? It's intentionally targeting civilian population for political goals.
Israel, the US, and other Western nations would top the list. If Ethan truly despises...
Wait, when he talks about terrorism, is he... Refugees caught up in the Korean War were shot and straight by US forces? Wait, does he bring up... Is this over assessment, or is he saying that the American military's actions in Korea was terrorism? Is this in the original video?
Domination.
There is no...
Go time. Capture the objective.
Podcasts or videos
Take it all zone.
residences in the middle of the...
I'm on the objective.
Correct.
Losing Bravo.
Molotov.
Losing B.
Real anti-Semitism is...
We got the lead. Now hold it.
Up.
Enemy Molotov coming.
Anti-Semitism.
Taking A.
Molotov sighted.
to this issue.
That's a huge
Mover.
point. I don't know.
Yes, I think, at least.
Forming hostile.
There is...
Losing Bravo. Securing Alpha. Taking Alpha.
Ethan...
At the
Going
time...
stun.
At the time...
Securing Alpha.
Riding in. Going high. TACOM,
They're
launching
taking
UAV.
C.
Hostile planted spring mine.
Directly also...
Losing B.
On my mark. Mark.
And then also brand them as terrorist organizations.
Archangel, make a noise.
Le copy system is out of ammunition. Flying on cue. UAV returning to tank.
Securing Zone A.
Eyes on enemy.
Criticized as an inhumane and politically motivated used to justify the mistreatment of thousands.
He had talked about enough. He used rape against denims, and the way he talked about.
Losing Bravo.
He literally, I'm pretty sure he used Cheryl Sanders.
Hostile grenade.
Hostile stood.
Engage the shooter.
Take it Alpha. We're losing Charlie. Requesting recon above. Eyes on enemy. Taking A. Zone A secure.
He went back to correct himself.
Many of them without charge or trial, detention, subjected to military courts with conviction rates of over 99%.
Hudson requesting LDVR. Hudson requesting Watchdog Helo on my grid.
Hostiles have a field upgrade. Molotov.
Losing B.
Hostile shooter.
They can to prevent and the Houthis who hold economically pressure Israel. That his own wife fits that description. This isn't exactly before, but the illegally occupying Palestinian land. More than that, she chose to leave
At first I
Secretary.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Enemy RCXD detected.
I somehow ended up in a better place that I liked a lot more.
Eyes on hostile suspect. Direct clear.
We're losing Alpha. Take it C. Enemy on foot. Secure at C. TACOM, I need eyes overhead. Requesting CUAV above. Zone C secure. We have the edge. Don't get caught.
Drive down. TACOM, get a UAV in the air.
Surveillance operation.
Concussion grenade. Molotov sighted.
Sailors are valid military targets. Ironically, it says that settlers are defended.
UAV MTL 50%. Check.
C. CIA's a bunch of proud bastards. They won't forget this.
Textbook execution, people. That's how Black Ops does it.
Illegal occupation. They are not only morally.
Got you, you piece of shit! Target move! Working this objective!
I guess.
Would knowing this about Gila, just this bit, not all the complete hindsight we have now, changed your willingness to collaborate with Ethan? No. It would have been entirely dependent on what her current and have said this kind of and then have completely turned around and actions. So of course, if she was like a former Israeli occupying force veteran, then no, I would not give a I would not. Like I would not immediately assume that this person is like, you know, violent, awful, whatever. There are so many people whose minds I've changed on this, and I'm sure some of them are from Israel as well. Maybe not to the same degree. I feel like if you're from Israel and you watch me, then you probably already had these sorts of anti-Zionist stances. It's very difficult for you to, you know, develop an anti-Zionist position in Israel to begin with. But there are plenty of people whose minds I have been able to change. Her positions were public knowledge. Chat, what hindsight are you talking about? No, I didn't know this. What are you talking about? Really up? You pay YouTubers to make videos about your takes and literal quotes to defend you and attack Klein? I know. That's what Ethan's probably going to say. It's not what... I don't hold people accountable for what they did in the past, especially if they have actually changed their ways, recognize that they were in the wrong. You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. To change is to be human.
That's in charge of the area of Ramallah. And that brigade has like a main officer. So I was his secretary.
She voluntarily moved into an occupied territory to assist in military raids on Palestinian communities. Not out of duty, but out of personal dissatisfaction with a desk job. She even referred to Ramallah as a terrorist city.
Team deathmatch. Pacify the AO, kill team.
The soldiers in that brigade go every night on.
Keep it that way.
The fact that her presence as an ideology facilitating raids.
We've given up the lead.
Occupier and the one terrorizing people.
Did you have a gun on you?
No, yeah, not really. I walked with them to.
Okay.
I could get out of the car once, but it's.
That's crazy. Was it like how did you how so?
You see people in the house and then it's like
yeah, he said
We've taken the lead. Stay on task.
Occupied are the villains, not the occupiers. Ethan deliberately avoids engaging with this issue. Whenever it's brought up, he deflects.
Eyes on enemy!
Tuned in, but this is not just about Ethan. To weaponize ignorance, plays an informative role in people's political opinions and forming incredibly reactionary thought, which is video is not just to farm drama necessarily, but to actually make a coherent point. My well is clean, brother. This seems silly. Yeah, it only seems silly to you if you're completely oblivious to the way that the commentary sphere works online, especially people that get their notes from slop tubers who weaponize their own ignorance and actually motivate a bunch of people who are ignorant themselves to continue being ignorant about issues that they do not understand. The question I have for you is this. Way too charitable. This is drama. Let's do real news. The go-to move for hate watchers who can't stand what they're hearing. Exactly. If I was invested in drama with Ethan, I would watch any number of different fuck Ethan videos that have cultivated over tens of millions of views at this point from people who are actually fairly well-read, like Gokanaru, or any number of different people that Ethan now actually is aligned with, to demonstrate the hypocrisy of Ethan, as a matter of fact, and to demonstrate the hypocrisy of those people as well. That would be slop tube content. That would be drama content, to talk about like how Ethan has dealt with certain issues in the past and how silly he's been. You know what I mean? That would be the drama slop tube. Covering Ethan's tattoo or some would be the drama slop tube. There's plenty of that Ethan does, where he makes up about me, and then we'll spend, hours and hours hours and hours on random made-up things that he cultivated in his mind. This, on the other hand, has a broader point. A point about how slop tubers actually motivate people such as yourself to assume stances that you will probably feel shameful about when you look back at it a couple years down the line. You have an opportunity here to learn.
People just don't understand that his wife was a victim of mandatory conscription, but what he refuses to acknowledge is her conscious decision to transfer to a more adventurous role within the IDF, one where she actively participated in terrorizing innocent people. He constantly plays this card while ignoring the severity of her actions. He even had Mutahar on his show, who also basically reduced this controversy down to, Hila did mandatory service, so why are these crazy lefties so mad?
Every time I see like the anti-Hila train coming out there, it's like, so she did mandatory service. Okay, now she's like a baby killer or something, right? Like it's one of those things where it's like massive jump in logic, and nobody sits down and explains it.
Nobody sits down and explains it. Hi, Mutahar. I'm sitting down and I'm explaining it. Service in the IDF is bad across the board. Conscientious objectors like Tal Mitnick are based, and contrary to popular belief, he didn't have his life ruined by refusing to aid a genocidal military. But apart from that, Hila purposely left her desk job to engage in raids.
Why hate on the dude when he's on your side, though? Hate on which dude that's on my side? I'm confused by this.
In illegally occupied territory because she was bored. Hope that clears it up. Also, since you don't take kindly to people speaking insensitively about military personnel, why didn't you call out your buddy Ethan when you were on his podcast and had the chance?
I'm personally looking forward to the podiatrist with PTSD from the Iraq War. I'm not like a military simp. I don't get the whole thank you for your service thing. I can see the podiatrist with the PTSD. He's sitting there looking at someone's foot, and then he has a flashback, and then the foot is severed. This isn't like World War II. You weren't drafted.
This looks like slop tube content, but I'm willing to hear what you were going to ask.
You're there.
And the job,
you know what it was. I mean, nobody thanked me and my ass, or nobody thanked the cashier at McDonald's for their service.
And the output is not good.
He's holding a severed foot because he's a flashback to Iraq War. His homie got blown up. Sorry about not having health care for you. Sorry about the burn pits. The good news is we will be putting a tiny little toothpick flag on your grave. What'd they die for?
We'll have Monday off work.
Worth it. Shit, we need more troops to... No, I'm kidding.
But when someone wearing a hijab says similar
such vile, disgusting language.
Oh, how out of touch do you gotta be? How privileged do you gotta be to sit
These
there?
slop tube guys stand for absolutely nothing. They have spines made out of gelatin. The only way I can begin to understand the cognitive dissonance Ethan displays is by accepting the fact that he applies a different set of rules to non-Westerners than he does to Westerners. Hila went out of her way to unnecessarily facilitate and ride along on raids in occupied territory, and she's not a terrorist. But this young Yemeni man who has endured nothing but death and destruction at the behest of Western-backed forces for his entire life is a terrorist because he hates the people who hate him. All right. Ethan loves to throw around the terms terrorist and anti-Semite. He especially likes to direct those terms toward Hassan Piker, which I personally think is incredibly dishonest, given that Hassan has time and time again denounced anti-Semitism for the evil that it is, and highlighted how it differs from anti-Zionism.
Israel's doing this, yes.
The Jews.
Well, Israel's doing it. It's not the Jews doing
Jewish
it.
people, right?
No, it's not. They're not. So one thing you have to understand is that, like,
a difference. Enlighten me, because I'm
a major
asking.
difference, because like what Saudi Arabia does is not about Islam. You know, it's not like ISIS is doing what they're doing for Islam. You know what I mean? I'm Muslim. I don't those guys, but either of those guys. You know what I mean?
But isn't Zionism? I'm so confused.
It's understandable that you're confused in this circumstance because, like,
so Israel's
both
not Jewish.
The Nazis who hate Israel or love Israel, doesn't matter, that believe that Israel must exist or believe that Israel must go away and that Jews control the media or whatever, like both the Nazis and also Israel and Kanye, and also Israel itself.
Domination.
Israel is doing this for
Shoot to kill. We're not here to negotiate.
Israel, like I'm doing right
Taking
now.
A.
Hold them back.
Locking down Bravo.
For that reason, a lot of people like yourself
B secured. Zone Alpha captured. The lead is ours.
You have to be very generous with a Hasidic Jew.
Taking C.
Judaism is a beautiful ancient unjust on the other hand, is an nationalist supremacist ideology. Its own founder, Theodore Herzl, described it as something colonial and noted that anti-Semites would become useful allies to the Zionist cause. When Ethan blurs the lines between these two fundamentally different ideas,
Locking down Charlie.
Judaism by conflating it with an ideology rooted in ethno-religious supremacy.
All objectives locked down. Hold the enemy back.
So when the Houthis see this it leads to their have done everything possible to blur the lines between these two ideologies, even though they should remain distinct. That conflation fuels real anti-Semitism.
We're losing Alpha.
And Ethan bears some responsibility.
We're losing Charlie.
Here he is singing a song with the words.
A. Securing Zone A.
Deliberately worked.
Location secure. Maintain current posture. Losing B.
Even those who do not agree with me.
Enemy grenade. Losing Bravo. Lost C. We lost B.
Rivals when there's a genocide ongoing to be like
Taking Bravo underway.
Covering the genocide, realizing that signal to work. No, it's really extreme. Like, I thought it was a joke to show how obsessed he was about you. I mean, you could take it that way.
RCXD active.
Hassan explained that many Jewish people actively support the Palestinian cause. He embraced them without hesitation.
Tactical identified.
Taking B.
Shield an ethno-nationalist project that has devastated countless areas. When Jewish American political scientist Norman Finkelstein
Bravo is on.
Enemy tactical incoming.
Deploying RCXD.
Hostile threat down. Shut down Archangel unit.
UAV available for tasking.
Left side in the sky.
No problem with that. From the
Hostile stun.
enemy eliminated.
Incoming grenade.
Enemy UAV.
Tactical identified.
TACOM, requesting recon
Securing
overhead.
C.
UAV commencing surveillance operation.
All locations secured. Hold your position. Losing Bravo.
Spot in the rough.
UAV fuel check 50%.
We're losing Charlie. We lost Charlie. TACOM requesting recon overhead.
We're flying on fume. UAV returning to base.
Put him open.
RCXD moving out.
Sentry turret. Learn your fucking lesson yet?
Conflict as
Securing Charlie.
Case in point, he's once proudly announced
Taking C.
Taking the object. Enemy 12 o'clock.
Like mega lefties talking about it like it's some super racist, crazy. Show you guys how beautiful, how multicultural, how like free it feels for people, or just it's a beautiful place. It is.
Line neutralized.
his experience there won't reflect the reality for Palestinians. Now, Ethan would refute my characterization of his state.
Archangel, going on!
Losing B.
You hear all these oh my god, bro, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Losing A.
Deploying RCXD!
Payback.
Lost Alpha.
Here's the one taking the objective.
Taking Alpha.
There are landmines that prioritize Jewish people.
Zone A secure. Losing Bravo.
Take the 2018 nation-state law, which declares
Bravo lost.
Jewish people exclusively, downgrades Arabic from an official language.
Crimson Axel for Rogue Spy. We know you're here. We're coming for you.
Minorities. I don't blame Ethan for not. That's a testament.
Securing B.
Deploying smoke. Smoke going out.
The governance of Israel internally with the actions externally in occupied territories. Repeated emphasis on Israel proper. Yeah, it's just opium.
Spring mine.
Securing Charlie.
That's why I made the comparison when he said that
Control Zone C. They're taking C.
Himself as a Jewish man to doxing random Instagram users.
This one's real. We caught you, Joe. Public-facing account.
Joe.
I see you. You wanted to be cute? Let's see it. Nice mustache. Strong entry. Here he is. If anyone, let's see if I know, can identify him at all.
Oh, that weenie truck he's in front of. That's in Dearborn.
Here's his mom. I'm not gonna clip that for her. I'm not, this is what you. Here's your mom. I wonder if she knows what you do on social media on your free time. You love your mama. Good thing she's not Jewish, eh, Joe?
Recently, Ethan declared that Hassan Piker should go to Gaza to do some journalism. When Ethan was greeted with the rebuttal that being a journalist in Gaza is incredibly dangerous, he and Ela downplayed the reality that Israel targets and kills journalists.
Okay, he might not have gotten this entire thing correct. It actually, in some respects, I think makes it even worse. I was talking to journalists that are in Gaza alongside Dropside News and Jeremy Scahill to potentially figure out a way of petitioning the Egyptian government during the ceasefire to try and get Western journalists into Gaza, myself included. And of course, that did not happen. And even from the beginning, I said, of course, I would try to make sure that we get, security assurances, which are never going to be 100%. And that 100% security assurance, for the record, is from Israel, not from Hamas. Make no mistake. And of course, it did not happen. Israel violated the ceasefire. Israel destroyed the ceasefire, and we were never able to. You're not a journalist. I said, I'm not a journalist. Wait, what? A YouTuber streamer cannot make that criticism? I'm not a journalist. I'm not saying I am a journalist. I was saying we were trying to get journalists in and myself. Okay? You all right? Regardless, they made it a joke. They turned it into a mockery, and in the process actually made it seem like journalists weren't being deliberately targeted, or anyone that wants to shed light on Israel's atrocities were being deliberately targeted by Israel. I can't get any security assurances against Israel, obviously.
Well, bro, it's not like Israel. Look, it's not like Israel's going to do a precision strike on Hassan. They don't. Yeah, but it is dangerous.
Bullshit. They've done it before. How would you feel if they did, bro?
Strike on anyone with a camera from the West is ridiculous. They absolutely would, and it's not because I have such a high opinion of myself. Israel has done precision strikes on people in my community, like Meadow comes to mind. People in my community that are Palestinian, that are in Gaza, that were operating like a TikTok account or a social media account that simply talked about what it looks like to live during a genocide and to try to survive during a genocide. The notion that Israel would not deliberately strike anyone that is showing the truth about their atrocity, especially someone from the West, is so stupid. Israel deliberately sniped, killed a Turkish American, Ayşenur Ezgi, in the West Bank. That's not even Gaza, that's the West Bank, okay? And the American government did nothing to punish Israel for that, by the way. She was an American citizen. I believe she went to school in Seattle, university student, graduated from university, went to the West Bank, and got shot in the head by an Israeli sniper.
I agree, it's dangerous.
It's a war zone.
They may.
But what?
He was in the running for anti-Semite of the year. They may.
Nah,
I don't think you guys understand Israel. It doesn't work like that.
They're not. It's not like. But regardless, I agree. It's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. It does work like that, Hila, you fucking deluded asshole.
I don't think it's like that personally.
Claiming that, yes, going to Gaza would be dangerous, but that's because there's a war going on there, not because Israeli forces would purposefully target a journalist. They would never. Now, apart from the fact that constantly calling a genocide a war is a form of genocide denial and obfuscates the reality that a genocide and a war can occur concurrently, as is recognized by international law, and as we've seen in Srebrenica in 1995, Israel does in fact target journalists, medics, humanitarian workers, and so forth. Hundreds of journalists have been killed by Israeli forces since October 7th, 2023, some of which were literally burned alive. This is an issue.
Yeah, while he also was complaining about me or making jokes about me going to Gaza over and over again, and simultaneously offering a defense to Israel, claiming that Israel doesn't target journalists deliberately, not even just journalists, but like any influencer, humanitarian aid workers and the like. He also no longer is going to Israel. He said he's no longer going to go to Israel because he's worried that his children will be traumatized by the air raid sirens. If you can comprehend your children being traumatized by the air raid sirens as you walk into a bomb shelter, think about the trauma that Israel has engaged. Think about the trauma that Israel has brought about an entire population of Palestinian children. There was a point in Ethan's life where he could empathize with the Palestinian existence. He cried in the first episode of Leftovers that we did after October 7. He cried thinking about his own kids because he had seen an image of a Palestinian father holding his child in his arms that had died because of Israeli bombings. This also completely disproves the other argument, which is that Israel keeps claiming that it's the safest place for Jews and that Jews would never be safe if it wasn't for Israel. And it's like, well, clearly, America is an infinitely safer place for Jews than Israel is if you're choosing not to go to Israel for the inevitable reaction that it brings about for its unimaginably violent actions in the region.
That predates the current genocide in Gaza. There are infamous cases like that of Rachel Corrie, an American journalist who was run over by an Israeli bulldozer in 2003. Her death was then mocked by members of the IDF who made Rachel Corrie pancakes. Apart from just journalists, other volunteers or workers aren't safe either. In March of 2025, Israeli forces killed 15 Palestinian medics and buried them in a mass grave, and the list goes on and on and on. Will the H3 podcast ever retract their statements that Israel doesn't target journalists? Will they ever issue a correction? Will Ethan ever admit that he was wrong to attribute the entire death toll of the Syrian civil war to Hezbollah?
I said Hezbollah has killed a shit more load of Arabs than IDF has. You're saying that's not true? Because Hezbollah is credited with about 500,000 deaths in Syria.
Will H3 ever dedicate an episode to documenting the Israeli war crimes committed against the Palestinian people? Will they ever dedicate a full-length segment to talk about the wrongful persecution of innocent advocates for the Palestinian cause? People like Mahmoud Khalil, Mozen Madawi, or Romizia Ozturk.
He absolutely is getting his audience to be on board with these actions, by the way, whether voluntarily or inadvertently, it doesn't matter. All of his commentary surrounding pro-Palestinian activists being virulent anti-Semites that need to be deplatformed, that need to be dealt with, has created an environment in the commentary slop tube consciousness that these sorts of actions are ones that you can turn the other cheek to, or turn a blind eye to, sorry to use a better term there, and or directly fantasize about happening to Ethan's own personal online enemies. I've seen the posts that people show sometimes from my snark subreddit, H3H3 Productions, of people talking about how much of a violent threat I am to the United States of America, hoping that I also one day, get this experience, this treatment, despite the fact that I'm an American citizen.
The H3 podcast is a very...
Sending me to El Salvador, fantasizing about sending me to CCOT. Why? Because I dared to criticize their favorite content creator. It's fucking crazy.
A well-known program and has the ability to really highlight the degree to which pro-Palestinian advocates are wrongfully targeted, but the H3 podcast is too busy targeting them themselves. However, when it comes to pumping out episode after episode about how Hassan or other pro-Palestinian advocates like Noah Samson are bad, they're quick to turn on those cameras and start talking shit, and recently, even getting a little litigious. This whole situation has made one thing painfully clear. Ethan is absolutely desperate for drama. I mean, his whole show has always included elements of laughing at others instead of with them. He's even taken to creating this new segment where he makes fun of aspiring musicians on Instagram. But unfortunately, Ethan's bullying has transcended petty shit like that. He's now taken the most urgent humanitarian crisis of our time and turned it into an endless stream of hit pieces on people he dislikes. To wrap this up, one last example of how Ethan...
Yeah, it's unimaginably selfish, dude. That's the thing that I can't fucking understand how people don't see. Like, you don't have to be the most well-equipped politically. You don't have to have any sort of knowledge over what's going on in Gaza to, one, recognize that it is atrocious. Even if you don't even consider it a fucking genocide, like, this is crazy. This is unlimited child murder happening in broad fucking daylight. And then you watch your favorite, like, has-been popped off in 2014, Goofs and Gaffs commentary channel, and all he's doing is making himself out to be the biggest victim in this process. Like, it's fucking crazy how the average American doesn't look at that and go, oh my God, dude, fucking think about someone else other than yourself for one fucking moment in your goddamn life, dude. Holy fuck. That is something I truly cannot understand, because even the most oblivious person can probably recognize the indecent way that Ethan has moved around. Because even some of the most outspoken liberal Zionists in the early days of October of 2023 have at least had the decency to pipe down after 16 months of live-streamed child holocaust. Ethan, on the other hand, has only gotten worse and worse over time. It is shocking.
Ethan benefits from his role as a drama slop creator, whether he realizes it or not, is how his audience uses his just a silly internet guy persona to run defense for him.
Bro is still obsessing over Ethan, not like he makes a comedy podcast. I don't know. I don't think it's really funny to do genocide defense over and over again.
His fans push the narrative that since he's just a comedian, he shouldn't be treated as what he truly is. A dangerous source of misinformation with an ego so massive that it prevents him from issuing corrections or engaging in any adequate form of introspection.
And instead of learning from it, all the time and making it the world's problem. Right?
This is what I mean by weaponized ignorance. When massive creators with millions of subscribers cover contentious issues with half-truths, omissions, or outright lies, it's on the rest of us to call that out and hold them accountable. It's wrong and insists he never defends Israel.
Can you name
enemy maneuvering?
One thing I've said with Israel, or like in the
Hostiles have the hard point.
You can defend Israel.
He even bragged that his wife apologized to an international war criminal, Yoav Gallant, a really good guy, and claimed that he and his wife have no issue owning their mistakes.
You know, that's how mature people do. That's how you're supposed to think of yourself.
Hard point locked down.
Admitting whatever is not caption.
Correct the record on your claims.
Hard point identified.
About Israel proper being a multicultural wonderland. Under illegal
Hostiles have captured the hard point. Hard point active.
Within your orbit for the crime of ever or defense Israel. Yeah.
For the record, there's no reason to hold things over someone's head. He just attacks his responsibility is frankly insulting. It's understandable why everything tends to get
Archangel prepping fire.
Hard point is secure.
Respect and responsibility than the medium of beef videos can offer. But one thing we can't afford to downplay is the fact that these drama videos are unfolding while a genocide looms in the background. Don't forget that, no matter how much Ethan Klein and his contemporaries obfuscate that reality. Up until recently, corporate media and ivory tower elites have held what seemed to be a monopoly on the flow of
I'm an upcoming rapper. You see the name? Lil NGA?
What does that stand for?
What do you think it stands for?
NASA Gaming Association?
Good guess, but no, it stands for Never Growing Again.
Okay.
It's just in reference to my hair because I have a hair-eating fungus. You see the spots? My hair's never growing again. That's why I named it.
Man?
No, that's my rapper name. Yeah. Just on here trying to spread my music. Would you like to hear my music or no?
Yeah.
Okay. But first, let me make sure that you're cool.
I am cool.
I'm gonna riz you.
Okay.
From down here.
I am rizzed.
You're rizzed?
Riz me again.
Again?
I'm very rizzed.
You're very rizzed?
I'm very rizzed.
Let's make sure that your riz meter's all topped off.
It's topped off. I think that's enough.
That's enough? Okay.
Yeah, that's enough.
Now you want to hear my music?
Yeah.
So this is a song I've been working on. It's called Black Iverson. The name's not important, but I don't have the music here, so we'll just go a cappella. It starts out with a female singing.
Before you start, I'm a very harsh critic, so.
Okay, well, the female singing isn't my part, but I'm gonna do the part and then I'll get into the rap. My tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why I got out of bed at all. The morning rain clouds at my window, and I can't. What?
That's copyrighted. That's not your song.
I wrote that.
That's copyrighted, man.
That means that somebody else copyrighted me.
That's an Eminem song.
Okay. So maybe the singing part is already a part of a song, and that's what inspired me, but I'll just get to the rap.
Unless you're sampling, then it's fine.
I wasn't aware that it was a sample, so forgive me for that one. Okay, here's the rap part. This is the song called Black Iverson. I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell, my pager, and my home phone at the bottom. What?
That's the actual song. What?
I'm an upcoming rapper. You see the name? Lil NGA?
What does that stand for?
What do you think?
We're moving on fast away from this to much kinder, much gentler, much more fun times. Oh, okay. Well, I'm under attack.
Hello.
Maya Higa, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. She basically brought Rain to Los Angeles so that she could avoid playing basketball with me because I would cook her.
Take him outside. Take him outside. When did it stop raining, Hassan?
It's
when
no
did it
longer
stop raining today?
It's no longer raining, but
it's time.
It was raining before. If she brings rain, California should pay her law.
True.
Maya is trying to prevent a drought, and this is how you treat her. Shaking my head. What is this? Click here to make chat feel jealous that they aren't petting Kaya. Look at the freaking. That, by the way, that like all of those noises in the background is exactly what the house is. Like my dad's phone constantly ringing.
Guys, I'm gonna make some Kaya edits.
Yeah.
Have you seen those reels where they edit dogs like cars?
No, but I love that.
I want to make a car edit.
She deserves it. Look at those jowls.
Yeah, that's a nice doggy.
Yeah, she's fat and wet.
Can I have Sody?
She's still the best girl. She's still the it girl. Dads always have their phones on max volume. Well, Diet Dr. Pepper action.
Hassan's always got the freaking Sodies. You have so many boxes of Sodies.
Yeah, I do.
Pretty nice.
Wash your dog instead of bullying her. She got wet this morning. I had no time to wash her. Hassan's most Americana quality is the soda stock. Yeah. More Kaya. Oh, yeah. I saw Anissa also post Kaya. Okay.
We're all dancing.
That's nice. Who's that? You have so many friends. It's weird.
Why is that weird?
Usually you have so many people that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that you don't.
Hard point. Go time. Capture the objective.
That I don't know.
Like you have a lot of friends.
I have a decent number of friends.
Hard point locked down. We've taken control. Hostiles at the hard point. Hardpoint is secure. Hardpoint loser. RCXD rolling out. Hardpoint is active. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint. Hardpoint locked down. Enemy UAV is. Hostiles have the hardpoint. Hardpoint is secured. Hostile UAV is captured. Enemy CUAV inbound.
Enemy recon sighted. Located hostile CUAV. Wreck that CUAV.
Hostiles captured the hard point. Hard point identified. Enemy UAV inbound. Hard point active.
I'm just gonna translate. They want to slave Thanks, Hassan.
Cut into the
I needed
chase.
that
I
from
like
you.
it. This is good. This is good.
Hostiles have the hard point.
I don't think anyone should do political.
Hard point is secure.
Because harm includes significant change.
Hostile counter UAV established above. Hostiles have captured the hard point. Enemy napalm strike incoming.
Miss me?
Hostile UAV established overhead. Enemy UAV inbound. Hard point located. Hard point is active. Hostiles have the hard point. Come on, you're losing this fight. Hostile UAV established overhead. Hard point locked down. Hostiles have captured the hard point. Enemy CUAV inbound. Revenge is my middle fucking name.
Assault and counter UAV.
Hard point is secure. Hard point identified.
Located hostile CUAV. Hostile CUAV destroyed.
Lead guard. Hard point active. Hostiles have the hard point. This shit ain't working. We've lost the advantage. Hard point locked down. We've taken control. Commence counter UAV operation. Marco, get a UAV in the air.
Enemies destroyed your trophy system.
Capture the hard point. Hard point is secure. Hostile counter UAV established above. Hard point located. Bion authorizing next complex. Hard point is active. Hard point locked down.
That's a kill.
Hostiles have the hard point. Hard point is secure. Enemy UAV inbound. Hostiles have captured the hard point. Hard point locked down. Hostiles have the hard point. Hard point identified. Hard point identified. Hard point active. Hostiles captured the hard point.
Could go crazy.
Destination marked.
Firing off the XD.
Yes.
I never forget a debt.
Focus.
down. Hostiles have the hard point. Hard point is secure. Hard point located. Hard point is active.
Assaulting through.
Capture the hard point.
UAV available for that.
Marshal requesting UAV tasking.
UAV in the turn. We have eyes on.
Command care
Hostile
package
setting gas
delivery.
mine. Time to remove.
Damn it, we've lost the lead.
UAV BO6, 50%.
Enemy CUAV inbound. Hostile counter UAV established above. Hostile UAV established overhead. Hard point locked down.
Priority tasking request received.
Assaulting counter UAV.
Hostile has the hard point. Hard point identified. Hard point active. Enemy CUAV inbound. Hard point is secure.
Located hostile CUAV.
Set call. Enemy watchdog helo inbound.
Enemy UAV in my sights. County watchdog helo. Enemy
Hard point loose.
Brett.
Enemy UAV inbound.
Taking fire.
Hard point is active. Hostiles have the hard point. Hard point locked down. Hostiles have captured the hard point. Hard point is secure.
Molotov sight.
Hostiles have the hard point. Hard point locked down. Hard point identified. Hard point active. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Taking the sunset.
Hard point is secure. Hostile UAV established overhead.
Molotov.
Hostiles have the hard point. Hostile counter UAV established above.
Molotov sight.
Enemy UAV inbound.
Going hot. Molotov sight. Using our laser.
Hard point located. You're planning on giving up. Do it now. If not, get to work. Hard point is active. Hard point locked down. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Sending incendiary. Hostile blast.
Enemy CUAV inbound. Hostile UAV established overhead. Hard point is secure. been identified.
Angry demeanor. Judge Dugan.
Hardpoint locked down. Hardpoint active. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
Stated that deportation officer A was there to effectuate an arrest. Judge
You fucking me? Activate cashback protocol.
Pull
Get
out.
your asses back
Streams
to
instead.
base.
Dugan that he was in a public space and had a valid image.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
NCPP officer A, Customs and Border Patrol and FBI were there as well. After finding out that they were not present for a court appearance, that they were with ICE, Judge Dugan ordered them to report to the Chief Judge's office. Judge A then escorted members of the arrest team away from courtroom 615 down the reception area for the Chief Judge's office. DA Agent B, who was not recognized by the part of the arrest team, was behind in the courtroom. The courtroom deputy reported observing a portion of the above described events in the hallway. According to the courtroom deputy, shortly after Judge Dugan was advised of ICE's presence, the courtroom deputy left the courtroom to look for an unrelated defendant, whom the courtroom deputy was seeking to arrest for an open warrant. The courtroom deputy saw Judge Dugan in her robe in the public hallway telling one of the federal agents that he needed to go talk to Chief Judge. I need you to understand something. Inside of a courtroom, a judge is the god, okay? Like a judge is quite literally the judge, jury, and executioner. So when a judge says, no, you have no authority here, do you have a judicial warrant, okay? And he says, no, I don't have a judicial warrant. And then the judge says, you need to get the out of my courtroom. You need to get the out of that courtroom. That judge could have actually unironically arrested those people that are in that courtroom and held them in contempt of the court for not following a lawful order being made in that process. She could have arrested them if she wanted to. This is something that even the Supreme Court is most likely not going to abide by, because it destroys any power that the judiciary has. It's over. The judge has no power if a random dickhead can decide to do this. They weren't in the courtroom, they were in the hallway, I think. Regardless, this is an incredibly important part of the separation of power, okay? You cannot have the executive authority undermine the judiciary. It is kind of the whole reason for why the judiciary exists, okay? You are inside of a courthouse, especially. You should not be violating the lawful orders or the determinations being made by the judge outside of the courthouse either, technically, okay? Under normal circumstances, when the judge says, hey, we're going to go through due process with this person, you can't just be like, nah, I don't care. Like, there's jurisdiction here. It is in the hands of the judge. Yeah, judiciary is literally there to prevent executive from determining what law is. That's the whole point. And I think a lot of people don't understand what the Constitution is there to do. The Constitution is not there to limit your freedoms as a regular citizen or non-citizen on U.S. soil. The Constitution is there to regulate and limit the power of the government from doing like this, doing literally like this. That is the entire reason.
We're losing Charlie. Domination. Hostile care package inbound.
Molotov out.
Hostile UAV standing overhead.
In any case,
Securing C. Securing Alpha.
Commencing capture operation.
Securing Charlie. Enemy harp inbound. Taking B. Zone C
Tally.
secure. Hostile RCXD in your AO.
Watch out, you will engage.
They're taking C.
Keep them cut.
Limit the enforcement actions by other members of law enforcement. Like, for example, I'll give you a great example of this. Court process takes place. There's a court proceeding. There's a criminal trial, okay? And the judge adjudicates at the end of the process. The person, let's say the defendant, is found to be not guilty. You can't just go up to that person once he leaves the courthouse and go, I don't care. I still think you're guilty. You're going to jail anyway. Do you understand? This would undermine the entire structure of the judiciary to begin with. Like, the judge says, yes, we found you not guilty, bangs the gavel. You think you're walking out a free man. And then some cop is waiting outside going, no, no, no. I still think you're illegal. I still think you're a criminal. Boom. Back to prison with you. You can't do that. The do you mean? And the only way you could do that is if there is a separate criminal warrant for yourself, okay? For a totally separate case. In this circumstance, him saying he has an administrative warrant is not applicable. There is a actual active court case taking place over whether or not this person is responsible for what he was charged with. And then in the aftermath of that, then you will make a determination for deportation.
Team deathmatch. Eliminate all threats.
Sorry, we're going to deport you